The US Vice President Joe Biden has just wrapped up a visit to Russia aimed at strengthening the so-called reset in relations. Washington says it will support Moscow's bid to finally join the World Trade Organization. And Mr Biden had plenty of good things to say about the President Dmitry Medvedev.
But no trip to the Russian capital is complete without also meeting the Prime Minister Vladimir Putin, the other half of the tandem that rules Russia. The meeting spurs more questions about who's really in charge of Russia, as Moscow correspondent Norman Hermont reports.
When U.S. Vice President Joe Biden came to Moscow, he did what one might expect on a state visit. He paid his respects to Russia's war dead. He oversaw the signing of a multi-billion-dollar contract to sell American passenger jets to the national airline. And of course, he sat down with President Dmitry Medvedev and pledged U.S. support for Russia's long campaign to join the World Trade Organization.
We wish to continue the progress we've made, and this time on the economic front, economic cooperation, your vision for Russia of innovation and change and modernization.
But when it came to meeting Russia's leaders, Joe Biden wasn't done. For every sit-down with the president, there has to be one with the powerful Prime Minister, Vladimir Putin.
It's in our self-interest, and I hope in the self-interest of Russia, to have our relationships closer.
The doubling up of the U.S. Vice President's agenda is yet another reminder of the tandem now ruling Russia. President Dmitry Medvedev wields power at the Kremlin, but then so too does his predecessor, Prime Minister Vladimir Putin, from his offices in the so-called White House on the banks of the Moscow River. It was Mr. Putin who tapped Mr. Medvedev for the presidency in 2008, when he had served the maximum 2 consecutive terms. Since then, the president has been widely portrayed as little more than Mr. Putin's lapdog. But the perception is changing, and many say it's no longer certain who has the upper hand in the run-up to next year's presidential vote, when Mr. Putin could run again.
No one knows. It's a big question. It's a big problem because, of course, I agree completely with Mr. Gorbachev, who recently said we cannot live in such conditions. We want to know.
But for now, there is no clear answer. The U.S. and everyone else has no choice but to deal with both leaders that rule Russia. Norman Hermont, ABC News, Moscow.